No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today, what am I calling you? Just Pearl?
Yeah, Pearl.
Pearl's your first name.
Mm-hmm.
What's your last name?
Davis.
Pearl Davis. Okay, cool. And should we explain who you are? Or how do you explain who you are?
How do I explain?
If you met me and I'm just a dude in the bar, how are you explaining yourself?
Oh, gosh. To people that don't know the content?
Yeah, like I don't even know what the red pill is.
I would say I do a live show 4 times a week on relationships.
Okay.
Where men and women argue about relationships.
Okay. Interesting. All right. And so where are you from? I want to get the early backstory so we know where you're coming from.
I'm from Chicago.
Okay. Where at? O Block or a nicer part?
Yeah, I'm from the hood.
Really?
No.
Like actually? That'd be pretty cool.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm from I probably won't say the name, but it's like 45 minutes from Chicago.
Okay.
So I have 9 siblings. I grew up there.
Wow. And 9 siblings. So your parents like religious maniacs or what?
My mom's Catholic, but my dad isn't that religious. I don't know. They're kind of...
He just like breeding?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story. I don't know. You want me to go into it? It's
sure.
Okay, so I grew up with 6 kids in the house, and I was the second out of 6.
Mm.
So I was the oldest girl. I was between 2 boys. Then when I was 22, I found out I had a brother that my parents gave up for adoption. So he grew up with like a different family, but I found out I was like, oh, I have 2 older brothers. I didn't even know. And then they adopted 3 teenagers that were just in bad situations. So like one kid was homeless on my brother's football team. Another one was like, or 2, because my dad's one of 13, my mom's one of 9 kids. I have a lot of cousins. So 2 were like second cousins that just weren't in the best situation. So they took in 3 teenagers, but they were like 16 when they lived with us. So like they only lived with us for like 2 years.
This seems like very resource intensive. What were your parents doing that they were able to take care of this massive community of kids?
So my mom and my dad met when my mom just got out of high school. My dad was a couple years older, and they started a software company, and they did that for like 25 years, and then they sold it.
Wow.
Like 2 years ago, maybe.
Okay. And so they're just relatively wealthy off that. That's always been good to them?
Yeah.
Nice. And so how would you describe how they raised you and what your upbringing was like?
Oh, it was good. I really enjoyed having a lot of siblings. I feel like when you have a lot of siblings, you always know that you ain't because they'll make fun of you, you know? And then you're always like trying to get good at stuff because you're like competing for your parents' attention. So I think it's good for children. I
think about that a lot of times with my kid, where her entire life up to this point has been me, my girl, and everybody else in our family, whatever, just praising her nonstop. And that, yeah, like sometimes I think about how much she loves the dog and the cats. And it's like, if we didn't have the dog and the cats, knowing now how much she loves them, it feels like I would have been doing her a massive disservice. And now I'm starting to feel that way about siblings too, is like, if I don't give her a brother and sister, I feel like it's going to be in a lot of ways kind of detrimental. Like her growing up as the only child, I think it's not ideal.
How old is she?
2.
Do you want more kids?
Yeah, definitely.
How many?
At least 1, maybe 2.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I'm not going for 9.
Yeah.
Maybe though. I don't know.
You know, I
depends
really,
how business goes, really.
I loved it.
If I find myself with $50 million, I mean, what the else am I going to do?
You should, honestly, I love my siblings. Like I literally, I don't know what I would do without my siblings.
Right.
Yeah, I recommend big families to anyone that can do it.
Yeah, I think there's something good about it, especially me seeing her family, because they're Armenian, so they're like very tight-knit, you know, and they like help each other a lot, and they're a lot more like the way you would expect families to have been throughout most of history. And like, I don't know, it's just, there's a lot to that I see like the vast majority of people not having going on these days. Okay, so what was, I don't know, like what kind of were you into as a kid, or at what point did you start to find yourself in high school or whenever?
I was an athlete. So a lot of people don't know this. I still play semi-pro volleyball in England.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's like how I was always just into sports. I played volleyball, basketball, and I ran track in college. So that was like all I cared about when I was a kid. I was just like, yeah, really into sports.
Where'd you go to college?
Elmhurst College.
Okay.
In Chicago. I spent a year at Ohio Northern, but then I transferred.
I don't know anything about higher learning, to be honest. But
they're small schools. Most people haven't.
Okay.
They're like,
it's not just me. All right, cool.
No.
But so you're doing sports. That was like your primary focus. And I don't know, where do you go from there? Like, what was college like for you?
College? I was just really into sports. Like, that was the only thing I cared about for the longest time, was just like getting good at volleyball, and I wanted to take that as far as I could.
And I feel like a lot of kids kind of get trapped in that sports thing, and the reality is that such a tiny percentage of people have a future in it professionally or whatever, but so many kids end up being so singularly focused on that thing for such a huge percentage of their childhood.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about this the other day. I loved sports. I still do. I love playing. But I was thinking, I'm like, it is the most useless skill that I have.
Right. It doesn't really impact almost. I mean, the discipline, sure. You know, there are elements of it, like just working hard to get good at something in general. Like when I look at my bike riding career, quote unquote, or like all the time I spent riding BMX bikes, I mean, I learned a ton about life from that, but it wasn't really like the sport part of it. It was more like the social skills that I developed from just being out and about and having to like take care of myself.
Yeah, I would say the biggest like lessons I learned, one was that life isn't always fair, and like you can whine and complain about your coaches not playing you or doing whatever, but like my mom would always tell me, like, when you start something you have to finish it, so you can't quit mid-season, like none of that stuff. And I would say it taught me to get along with people, and yeah, that's the biggest ones.
Okay, so at what point does the sport dream go away?
Well, kind of never. I'm still doing it.
Right, but I
sorta.
mean, like when did other shit start creeping in?
So I graduated college. I got a degree in economics and business administration. I got a certification in market research. Then I worked in sales for 2 years, and I hated it. It was the worst job on the planet.
Doing what kind of sales?
Oh my gosh, copier. You see your copier out there? I was looking at it because
they just bought that. Everybody has something to say about it.
I could tell you if you got a good deal.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, because I sold them for 2 years, and they're horrible because they're all the same. They're not like, how much do you really think about your copier?
I have not been consulted about the copier in any way. I can't even imagine what they are copying. I would imagine most of this is happening online.
It was a horrible job.
Really?
Yeah. And so then I did that for 2 years, and then I decided to go to England to play semi-pro volleyball. And then I was going to see if I could play pro for a year or two. So I got recruited because semi-pro is like you mess in England, like you play in England for a year, and then they recruit you to like Germany or Spain or whatever. Okay. And then I got I'm in the middle of getting my master's like for that. I didn't really care about the degree. I just like picked something, but it was just like discounted. And I was like, okay.
Right. What kind of living can you make as a pro volleyball player?
Oh, see, that was the decision that I had to make like 6 months ago because I got offered a pro contract, but it's less than $2,000 a month for free, and you get free housing. And you can work your way up if you play for a couple of years to maybe 3 or 4, like, but that takes so long, and like, what's the future in it? And so I got offered like the pro contract in the fall, and I was just like looking at it. I'm like, I can move all my equipment and all my people and all this, but it's like, for what?
Had you really thought about how horrible this career path really was, like throughout your time playing volleyball, that like success would be not even a living wage?
My goal was never to go pro. I never thought that would be like, I just missed playing. So I was like, I'll go play.
Right.
So it was like I was in sales for 2 years and I wanted to do something else. And then I had one TikTok go viral. So I was like, oh, maybe I could just be a TikToker.
Doing what? Volleyball stuff?
No. Oh my gosh. I had a whole like TikTok career before I even did the red pill manosphere type stuff. I did.
What was the TikTok career? Because everybody's got like at least attempted TikTok career these days, it feels like.
Well, I was almost to 1 million on TikTok. I got to 850,000. And then they took away my account.
For what?
I called a girl a whale. but she called me ugly first. I'd like to say it was a retaliation.
Right.
So I was doing this street interview and we were talking about safety. And I was saying, like, I don't understand why girls walk, like, they're always like, oh, I can't walk home alone at night. Da-da-da. But I'm like, neither can the men. Nope. Why are you walking home alone at night in a dangerous city? I'm like, you're not entitled to safety.
I've interviewed infinite people who got shot and killed or nearly killed just basically from, like, walking home at night. Nobody should feel comfortable doing this in Chicago or LA. I mean, you should probably feel, most people should probably feel comfortable, but like if you have something worth taking, you know, which every woman kind of like inherently does in a way, you should probably be careful about walking home at night, right?
Well, and I would argue it's less safe for men than for women. Because if me and you like both got attacked, right? You're pretty tall. I feel like they wouldn't. Maybe if you're like smaller, but
I tend to get left alone for the most part. But
let's say you were like 5'8", you know, or 5'10", whatever, and it's me versus you. Like if a guy gets attacked, like no guy's gonna come and help him usually. But if a girl gets attacked, like I would argue that like more guys are willing to like come and help. And this was demonstrated during the whale attack. So what happened was this girl got really mad when I said that. So she's like, I'll have you, you slag. And I was in London. I didn't know what a slag meant. I don't know what a slag is, but I knew I was being insulted. Right. And so I was just like, whatever, you're a whale anyway. And then she's like knocking the mic out of my hand, trying to punch me or whatever. And like, I was mad because there was another guy there. The only reason I brought him was so I could not get hit. And he kept letting her back towards me. Whatever, we got it on video. But that clip got me kicked off because I called her a whale, which is just like, she attacked me first. All I did was call her a whale.
I hate the idea that you could have called her an idiot and that would have been okay. That you can insult her intelligence, but that somehow insulting the shape of her fat body, that's over the line.
And if anything, whales are beautiful, majestic creatures.
Yeah, why does that have to even be? Yeah, who is TikTok and like, who are they to be making this decision about what I meant by whale? I could have meant anything.
Yeah, and if anything, I should apologize to the whales in the sea for comparing them to fat chicks.
Right.
Yeah.
You ever seen Pinocchio? Geppetto, he gets swallowed up by a whale.
No, I haven't seen it.
I mean, oh, okay. Well, it's a good flick. But okay, so you're just like what, kind of doing the social media thing. How would you have identified politically throughout college?
I would always say I was more conservative, but like a couple years in college, I didn't really like care. Because I didn't vote in the first election. For like Hillary versus Trump, I was like, I don't know, this is crazy, and I was just kind of chilling.
Right. But I mean, so how did you get attracted to doing the sort of content that you're doing now? Like, how did this whale incident sort of lead to that?
Oh, the whale. Well, how? I just thought it was interesting. So like the first time I used to do rap video reactions, it would be like, I've had a lot of very random things.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
I used to do house tours. I did relationship quizzes. I did like, oh my gosh, I did so many different types of content. I used to do.
Were they all successful to some extent, or were you varying degrees of success?
I also used to do relationship content. It depends. Some did well, some didn't. But I forgot what I was talking about.
The whale incident and how that led to.
Oh, and so what happened was when I was doing rap video reactions, someone sent me a Kevin Samuels video, and that was like the beginning of me and like the red pill stuff. Was I started reacting to Kevin Samuels, and I just thought it was really interesting. So
what was your first reaction to Kevin Samuels?
I was triggered.
Really? You were upset by it at first?
Yeah, because they were talking about how high value men cheat, and I was like, my dad doesn't cheat. And so I was so offended. I was like, Dad, they said you have hoes. Where are they at? and yeah, they ended up, yeah, but then I understood what Kevin Samuels was saying. It's just like, if you go for a top 1% guy, it's like more likely that he'll cheat.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's probably true.
Definitely. But I mean, okay, that's my whole thing about the cheating conversation that I was just listening to Brittany Renner and Andrew Tate argue about. And I only made it halfway through that podcast. So I don't actually, is it more bombastic towards the end?
I would say it's more calm. Most, I don't know, there's
a lot of flare-ups in there.
There's a lot.
Definitely. But I mean, the whole thing with cheating is that it's like, if you're a high-value guy, the truth is that you could negotiate terms in your relationship realistically better than most guys. And I think that doesn't mean that a lot of guys try to do this thing where they just cheat and then they're just like, oh, well, like I'm great. I'm a dude. I'm high value. So therefore I should be able to get away with it. But they don't want to negotiate it beforehand. They just want to do it until they get caught. And then once they get caught, they kind of fall back on this like manosphere argument that they heard Andrew Tate say on TikTok one time, when in reality, we know that there's tons of happy polyamorous relationships out there. I know tons of people who are in these kind of relationships. And it's like, they're equal for the most part, you know, like both sides feel like they can do whatever. And me and my girl at some point decided that we just didn't want to do any of that, you know, and that we would rather just be faithful aside from the OnlyFans stuff. And I don't know, it's just like, it feels weird that this is like so hard for people to wrap their head around the idea that like high value guys can normally negotiate better terms for the relationship.
Yeah. But then it's also, I also would like to caveat, what did you expect from the girls?
Who?
The girl, because you were talking about how the guy won't tell the girl up front.
Right.
No, I agree. You should.
But if you're in a relationship, you should expect the other person to be honest with you.
I agree with you. I agree. You should. But my thing is like girls will go after these like athletes, you know, in the top like NBA, NFL. Like, what did you expect? What did you think was going to happen?
Right.
You should, but I just, you know, like Andrew Tate was talking about it, how it's just like it's going to be a higher probability.
Right.
And the question is like, what will you do if that happens?
A lot of girls are bad judges of character because the truth is that, you know, there's probably a fucking nice percentage of dudes in the NBA that are in happy relationships and they would never consider cheating, you know? I think there's probably a good amount of it. There's a lot of normal fucking dudes in the NBA. I don't know. Maybe my percentages are out of whack, but I would think that there's a good chunk of them who aren't necessarily tempted. Because I could tell you right now that I could be fucking God knows how many girls, and I just don't really feel like tempted by it because I know it's out there. I know I could do it, and it just because it's so obvious and easy, it doesn't really feel that tempting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think all guys cheat.
Right.
Like, I think that's probably where I disagree with some of the other content creators in the space. I just think you should know if you go after those type of guys, it's more likely. So if you want to go after a rich guy, what are your, like, I would guess that like nerds are going to be more faithful than like the NBA athletes who have girls being thrown at them after every game.
I mean, a nice percentage of guys are going to cheat no matter what, for sure. I've seen it throughout my life. We're even the biggest fucking losers who end up with the hottest chicks that are the most out of their league. It just still, you know, they just end up doing it because they just get bored and they're just not done. Like, I didn't settle down and get into a serious relationship until I had already fucked like 300 girls and I already was just so over it and just like didn't care anymore and felt like my life was kind of like unraveling as a result of my promiscuity. 300. And I didn't have any kind of clout or anything either. I was a regular guy. Just going to the bar, going on Tinder.
Wow. That's a lot of girls.
I know. It's way worse now, too. It's probably more like 600 now.
Oh, my God.
Just from on-camera shit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I don't really know if I should count that anyway. That's like getting a hooker. Getting a hooker doesn't count either.
I don't know. That's a different world.
Yeah, I know. But
that's a different. I don't know much about that.
No, definitely. But okay, tell me that your opinion. Should a guy count prostitutes on his list of sex partners? Because you did take the risk of getting an STD with each person. So in that way, I could see counting it. But then on the other hand, to me, your sex partner count is really more about like how many women you actually like got to consent to want to have sex with you. And if you're giving them money, that just feels kind of...
I mean, isn't a partner count like how many people you have sex with? So then wouldn't they count?
I guess it's about how like why you want that data.
I don't know.
Because to me, the data is not so much about like preventing STDs. Like you can get tested for that. Mm-hmm. It's more about like, well, for a guy at least, it's like, or I guess with a girl, it's just kind of like how many dudes you chose to let pass the fucking goalpost, right? Mm-hmm. Because we all know there's a constant stream of guys trying to get in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
600. Oh my God. That's so many.
That's nothing. I know girls way worse than that. I know many dudes are in the thousands.
Thousands?
Yeah.
How, like, doesn't that take up a lot of time?
In retrospect, yeah. Especially since I'm not really like on that now. Since now I'm like doing it in this very like time-wise, it's like very packaged, you know? Like I do like 2 or 3 scenes in a day so I can just kind of knock them out.
I'd say do you miss it ever? But you're still doing the scenes, so it's kind of the same, or no?
Yeah, but the whole thing about being promiscuous is that it's really more about like the chaos of it and the drugs and the drinking and the fucking staying out and just, you know, it's like that really was like such a big part of it. Now it's like, you know, the girls sign contracts and they show up and they, you know, just leave and go back to their boyfriend, and there's no like mystery about it. There's no flirting. It's just like a body, you know? So it doesn't really, it just feels way different.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I like don't know.
I forgot you're like a normal person. Okay, so
This is just a different world.
how do you, feel free, whatever you need to know, just ask away. But so at what point do you really start to, you start reacting to the Kevin Samuels shit, but then when do you start to decide to do your own show?
Oh, well, it was I had a boyfriend before, and we broke up in like December to like February. I don't remember when, but I was really sad. And so I was like, I'll just do a show and we could talk about relationships. Because the cool thing about London was you can meet people from like every walk of life and from everywhere. So I can meet someone from Italy and from Spain and I could have a girl on my basketball team that's from London. I could meet everyone, and the cultures will be really, really different. And I just thought that was so cool. I'd never lived anywhere that was like that diverse, you know? So, February 27th was my first show, so I'm almost at a year. And yeah, basically, I just thought we could come in and talk about something that everyone has in common, which is relationships.
But why did you, like, what was it about the relationship thing specifically that drew you to it?
I just thought it was interesting. And I just thought it was interesting to hear things from the men's point of view. I don't know if I told you this. I went to a pickup conference.
Really?
Yeah, like I wanted to see, it was like where guys learn to like get laid, I guess.
So there's not a lot of women there, I would assume?
Oh, there's no, well, it wasn't I'm sorry. I don't know what to call it. It was like 10 guys that like go, and instructors, like they take them out in Vegas and we're like, go talk to that girl, make sure you touch her back, or like.
And you were just observing this because you were interested in it?
Yeah, the video's still on my channel. I made a YouTube video.
Okay.
And I just thought that was interesting. It'd kind of be like if you went to a gold diggers conference, it'd be interesting.
Well, I went through like a period of time in like 2007, I guess, when I got into The Game, that fucking Neil Strauss book, and like was very interested in the pickup thing and read all about it, and definitely felt like I learned a lot from it. Although I also ended up feeling like such a huge percentage of it was just like the most cringe shit I'd ever seen in my life, in terms of just like the magic tricks and the leather cowboy hats, peacocking type stuff. I don't know. But okay, so did that change your way that you thought about relationships and dating?
Yeah, because it really put me in the men's point of view. Because, I mean, I'm just there observing, but you're still trying to help them. You know what I mean? Because you're kind of like on the guy's side. And it was like these guys that were, I mean, they weren't super good looking. They were okay. They get like harshly rejected by these whales, like these huge girls. And I'm just like, she's rejecting him. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, oh my gosh, it is hard for guys.
Yeah. It is.
Not for you, Mr. 600.
Yeah, but it took a lot of fucking work to get those numbers in, realistically.
Yeah.
There's a lot of failed nights at the bar where I, didn't get anything going on.
Oh, okay.
It really says a lot about how much I went out and how much I was on Tinder. And I shouldn't say Tinder because it was like MySpace and Plenty of Fish and all these fucking other weird-ass sites before that, to be honest. So you understand why I'm perfectly happy to be in a relationship now, because it's like it was just this element of chaos in my life that the thing I loved about Tinder at first ended up being basically why I hated it as well, because at first it just gave me like such access to be able to meet so many different girls, and then it just became like, oh, my dating life is tending to these like 40 different DM conversations on Tinder that I have going on, and I just found that to be like the most miserable thing that really kind of killed it. Going out in real life, getting laid was fun.
But Tinder, not so much.
This has made it too much of a fucking robotic, weird thing where I was just like hanging out with a different chick every night and just doing the same thing over and over.
Wow. What's the, see, before the, what do you call it? Is it OnlyFans or?
Yeah.
That stuff. What was the most amount of girls you slept with in a week?
Well, I had this girlfriend before my current fiance, and I remember she left for a week, and we had the kind of relationship at that time where she thought that we were in an exclusive relationship just because she wanted to be, and I thought that we were clearly not in an exclusive relationship because I just did not want to be. And like, she felt like she had the conversation with me, and I felt like she absolutely had not had the conversation with me. So I don't really know if maybe she was just kind of vague about it, or maybe she was just totally lying to herself. But either way, I go and I pick her up from the airport on New Year's Eve, and I fucking, we go to some house party, and somebody ends up giving us ecstasy, and we fucking end up like partying for hours and going back to my place at like 3 a.m. and fucking for a couple hours. And then I go to take like an ecstasy shit, and she chooses to go through my phone while I'm experiencing the amazing feeling that is taking a shit while you're off a bean. And she goes through my phone, and she was very, very quickly able to ascertain that I had slept with at least 6 girls in the week that she was gone. And yeah, that was very upsetting to her. And the thing that I found weird about it was that I had not even processed or thought about the fact that I had slept with that many girls in that short period of time, because I think I was kind of like in denial about how I was living at the time.
Did she stay?
For a little while.
They always do.
I mean, I could have fucking wifed her up. But you know what it was with her? It was like, she had like the most boring fucking, like I for most of my life, I dealt with chicks who were like artists or models or, whatever. They're like doing something. They're trying to become something. This chick was like, she had gone to college to be a graphic designer, got a good job making like $90,000 a year, and then had to like go and get on like antidepressants because she hated her existence so much and was so miserable with her life. And then meanwhile, I'm at the beginning stages of like starting this podcast. So I'm just like overjoyed every day. And I'm staying out till like 4 a.m. every day. And she's getting up at like 6 a.m. to go to work. And it was just like, I can't believe we even dated for any period of time. It's insane. Like, how did this work?
Interesting.
I don't know. Anyway, so when's the last time you were in a relationship? Are you in one now?
No, it was last year.
Okay. And why did this end? Wasn't high value enough?
No, he was really successful. I just think like our backgrounds were a little too different.
In what way? You're from Chicago, from a Mormon family, and he was what?
He just didn't have the best like home life. I don't know, and I just feel like that caused issues. And then I probably he would probably say other stuff too. So I don't know.
Right.
I try not to.
Well, what is your like expectation of a relationship at this point in your life though? Like, could you see yourself easily getting into a relationship, or do you feel like it's not happening because you're just focused on grinding this content out?
No, I really would like to be in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How's that going though? Are you like actively dating?
There's someone I like. We'll see.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is he in the manosphere?
You wouldn't know him.
But he is?
No.
Interesting. Okay, so like how'd you end up on the format that you kind of do on the show in terms of like the panel and stuff? Like how did, like, I don't know, how do you think about the structure of the show?
Oh, I love it. I think it's so fun. We just basically, it started with me recruiting like athletes mostly, just because those are the people I knew in London. But now it can be people off the street. Like sometimes we recruit them through Instagram, and then every day I'll just walk in. It's like a random panel of people. And I'm like, all right, this is the topic.
And you're in charge of putting this together, or you have anybody helping you with it?
Oh gosh, I have so many people helping me.
Really?
I did everything I did myself to start. And people have no idea how much, you probably do,
right,
but people have no idea how much work it is, because I used to like recruit myself and do the editing and like do everything. But now I have a recruiter. We have clippers and we have editors. So.
Right. Yeah. You know, what I found out from some girl who like told me that she worked for Fresh and Fit. She told me that she like gets paid per girl that she brings to the table, which I thought was interesting. They don't pay her like a flat fee. Mm-hmm. It's like by the body that they're able to bring in, which is kind of interesting though, because it's like clearly chicks are just like not made equally. Like some of them content wise or visually are going to be like very valuable, and a lot of them just aren't at all.
You know what I would take over a hot chick?
What?
An ugly chick that thinks she's hot.
On camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely most of your clips that have done well, right? Yeah. Feminist gets reality check, which she realizes that nobody will fuck her. I've seen that, yeah.
Look, we gotta clickbait.
But so what? You figured that out like at a certain point. You're like, yeah, like delusional females for sure is like, that's kind of what it is. But delusional people in general.
Yeah.
Because people on the internet, that they love that, because it's like it rarely can last that long, because like if you have a dude that's just convinced that he's the hottest shit on earth and he's actually like the wackest fucking dude you ever seen on earth, doesn't this sound like somebody that's going to be viral on YouTube? Because people just can't look away from a fucking train wreck. But in reality is like, how long is this person going to be able to be on camera before they realize that everybody's laughing at them?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, men have reality hit them at some point, because at the end of the day, if you ain't shit as a guy, no one's gonna sleep with you. But girls, like, you could still get attention and validation from guys.
Right. But I mean, I do feel like there's.
I had a girl tell me she was hotter than Rihanna. Rihanna. I was like, she wasn't bad looking. She was okay. I give her like a 5.
But I feel like a girl saying that is like a guy saying that they think they're the best rapper. I've had so many rappers be like, yeah, I think I'm the best rapper. But then their caveat is, I think everybody should feel like that. I think everybody should think they're the best at what they do. And I'm like, okay, so you don't really think it.
I don't know that many rappers. So.
Right. But it's kind of like those women who would say like, I'm hotter than Rihanna, assuming that she's like not even close, because there probably are women who are at least in the conversation, sure. But it's like, it's not reality. They're like, they're taking on this pose. And there's a lot of that with chicks in general too, and that's why it's weird when you see them going Fresh and Fit or your show, and they like start espousing these ideas about how they should be. Like, and these are the reality checks that people are so obsessed with. Is when the girls actually like verbalize their ideas about dating that they've been able to get away with for their whole life, and then they just have like a crowd of people that want to debunk that.
I think my favorite. It's funny. The show actually isn't what blew up my channel. It was actually red pilling women. So it was like I red pilled my friend for the first time, and it was like showing her Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of this.
Yeah, so that's actually my favorite type of videos, is like the face I can see on girls when like the wheels are kind of turning in their head, and like they just start to see the world differently. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, that is what's interesting, is that if I think about like throughout high school and college, I don't think I ever had anybody like pushing any kind of conservative ideas on me at all. It was like everybody was just, up until maybe like 2016, 2018. I don't know when this started to like kick off, where there started to be this like reaction, but it was kind of just like an assumption that everybody was a liberal, everybody's on the left. Like if you're a young person or whatever, unless you specifically are identifying from this other thing. But I don't think I ever met anybody who fucking like, and that says a lot about the world that I was around, but I never met anybody who was like talking about conservative shit until kind of like well into I think Milo Yiannopoulos was the first like conservative person that I ever had like a real conversation with on camera.
Oh, I didn't realize you interviewed him.
Yeah, way back in the day.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I want to see that now. That'd be so interesting.
It was wild. He actually, the shit that he got like mega canceled for, he said the same exact shit on my show about basically how like young gay boys and like older gay men have this sort of like natural connection, and basically how it's like not that big a deal. It's kind of natural.
I didn't actually see that. I knew he disappeared. I didn't really know why.
He disappeared and then he popped back. Well, he disappeared because he got deleted off all social media pretty much. And then he kind of popped back up as Kanye's campaign manager for like a week, and then he just disappeared again. And we really don't know. We don't know why. And he says he's not gay anymore.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of hard to believe.
Oh.
Seems pretty good.
You should get Kanye on the show. That'd be lit.
We did. He canceled the last minute. Or we had him lined up, and he canceled like right after. Like he canceled on us at the same time that he canceled on Aiden Ross.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, but he didn't call me and tell me that he didn't want to hear about my Jewish conspiracies like he did to Aiden. But okay, where were we? We were just talking about something. I felt like we had a good thread going there for a second.
I was saying my favorite, the red pilling women.
Right. So I don't know. Do you feel like you are would you say you fully identify as red pilled at this time, or are there like parts of the ideology that you feel uncomfortable with or that you think are kind of silly?
Well, red pill is a praxeology, so it's like the study of human behavior. So it's the studying the intersexual dynamics between men and women. So it's basically looking at data and maybe different people interpret data in different ways, but it's coming to conclusions like based on data.
But when I hear red pill, I think of basically the opposite of the blue pill, i.e., viewing the world from a man's point of view and kind of turning feminism on its head and saying, well, actually, maybe the reason why the world ended up sorted out the way it did is not because of some vast patriarchal conspiracy, but because that was just sort of how things were meant to shake out in the first place. And, trying to like understand the world from the perspective of a man, because I could say for a long time, it felt like there wasn't really like any vantage point of that in like the mainstream media.
I mean, I would say that's more like men-centric content, in my opinion. But like when I think of Red Pill, I think of Rollo Tomasi, and I think of like his book.
But his shit's like dating advice type stuff, right? I haven't seen it that much.
No, it's not dating advice. It's the study of human behavior.
Okay.
So he lists out the definition of like apraxiology in the book, and he lists out, I mean, yeah, and so yeah.
Right, but I don't know. Are there any ideas that are like popular in the space that you're uncomfortable with, or that you kind of disagree with, or are you full on like on board with everything Andrew Tate says?
Andrew Tate had a cheating party. I feel like that was rude. Yeah.
A cheating party?
Yeah, sorry, Andrew.
Wait, so he had all his boys get together to cheat on their wives together?
No, it was like it was an old vlog I saw a while back. It triggered me. It was like he brought all his girlfriends to a party, and he was like cheating on his girlfriends in front of each other, or he like brought all of them, and maybe they knew, but at the time I was like, well, that's rude.
If they stick around after that, it's no longer cheating. Because then
agree.
you've let them in on what's going on here, right?
And they might have known already and maybe just didn't want to know. I don't know.
Right. How did you end up bringing, was that Andrew Tate, Brittany Renner thing, was that the first time you brought Andrew on, that you had him on your show?
Yeah, someone from his team reached out to me because he's on Instagram. So I was like, I don't know how but yeah, and I'd kind of messaged with him about coming on the show before he got banned. And then Brittany Renner, I just thought of, I was like, oh, it would be interesting to have them on the same panel. So
how'd you get her to London?
I flew her out.
Really? That's what you do? You just reach out to people, like, I'm going to fly you out? You flew the Top G out?
No.
You got a private plane, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'll get you some gas.
Yeah. No, I don't even think I can afford the gas. I'll get you a flight to London. I can't.
Wow. Did that feel like the biggest thing that you had ever made happen, though?
Yeah.
In terms of just bringing, like, these two really big names together?
Yeah.
Was it kind of overwhelming?
I didn't know if it would happen because I was actually supposed to go to Dubai. And it's good that this didn't happen because Brittany wasn't going to go to Dubai. That was like too far for her. That's a really long flight.
Okay.
But I was supposed to go there. And then my manager ended up getting detained because he has, what's it called? A temporary passport. They don't accept those. And my passport expires within 6 months. They wouldn't have let me in the country. So I actually bought a ton of hotels, flights, like for people. I did all this stuff. And then I had to cancel last minute because I wasn't going to get in the country. And then Andrew said, you know what, I'll come to you. And then I reached out to Brittany and was like, hey, I know Dubai was too far. Would you want to come to London? And then she agreed. And then he agreed. And then it was like 5 days before he came. I like put everything together. I got the girls and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what was the thing that you like wanted to hear them discuss the most? Because the conversation was kind of all over the place, and I'm gonna admit that like 45 minutes in, I was like, why the fuck are these two random ladies talking to each other instead of the two famous people on the couch?
Yeah,
No offense to whoever the fuck they are.
Yeah, Esther Denalva. In hindsight, I think I would have just had one of the other girls. I don't think I would have done two. I didn't want Brittany to feel like she was being like ganged up on. So that was why I brought on like two other people that I thought might have more of like a modern mentality, you know? But my thought was whenever I put together a panel, I always like putting opposites. Like I always want to see the most conservative and the most liberal person, put them on a room together. Or I've always wanted to do a panel of corn stars and nuns. I just think it'd be funny. But
I feel like the nuns, like, what are the nuns even going to say to the porn stars? It would be great for sure. But I mean, if you're a nun, don't you kind of at a certain point just be like, okay, like this is my thing. I'm not going to really try to tell the corn stars what to do.
No, I went to Catholic school. Some of the nuns are opinionated. Some would, some would. They're like people. You know, some people would, some wouldn't. It's just an interesting, it doesn't have to be a debate. It doesn't have to be heated, but you can just ask a question that they both would have a different opinion on, and then it's interesting.
I feel like the only time that somebody really challenged me on the porn shit was maybe Sneeko, who basically just tried to convince me that I was like doing a disservice to men all over the world by making porn, which I really didn't feel too persuaded by, especially since there's just so much of it out there already. It just doesn't even feel like I'm moving the needle in terms of the total amount of porn out there. What do you think? Do you think it's fucked up for me to be doing porn? Am I wasting my potential as a human being?
Oh gosh.
Does it offend you morally?
I don't really care what people do. Like, it's not really not my problem. No offense. Do I think it's like a net good for the world? Not really. I would think more about like your kids. I don't know. I personally think it'd be hard to grow up with like a parent that does that stuff. That's kind of where my mind goes. But again, that's respectfully, it's like not my problem.
Yeah, I really don't care about that. You're gonna have to deal with it. I just feel like that's like a thing that a lot of people do though, where they try to take, like, the world is pretty clearly divided into like kids stuff and grown up stuff. Like, you know, I had some friends, like these BMX dudes, right? And they did like an anti-drug seminar at the school one time. And mad people in the BMX world were like really mad because they're like, you guys drink and you smoke weed. And like, how can you go to the school and tell these 5-year-olds not to do drugs? And it's like, bro, they're fucking kids. They're like, you know, it's like the same thing as driving a car. Like, I don't want my kid to drive a car, but I don't feel bad about driving a car in front of her.
Well, I guess I'd put it like this. Growing up, I really appreciated having parents that like didn't have, like they were just really clean people in that regard. So like my dad doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't have social media, he just works hard and like that's what he does. And it was just like nice to have that to look up to. I don't have to worry about like my dad screwing someone I know or like any of my parents' exes getting involved. Like they'd only been with each other, they met each other. Maybe that's not like probable in today's world, but I just think that's like there's less problems with that.
Definitely less problems, because when I think about the fact that it took a long time for me to really like start experimenting with drinking and stuff, and when I think about the fact that I never really smoked cigarettes for a long time when I was younger and stuff, it's really because my parents, I never saw them drink almost ever. I never saw them smoke. I never even considered the idea of them cheating or anything like that. They never got divorced. So, you know, I'm probably better off as a result of that. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, at a certain point, like, your kids just got to kind of deal with your baggage. Because that's the whole thing, is that there is this like interim time period in a kid's life where like there's kid stuff and there's adult stuff. And there's like a weird time period where the kid knows about the adult stuff that they can't have anything to do with. It would be like if I owned a bar. And it was always this like kind of weird thing where like the kid wants to go to the bar, she wants to go to dad's work, but she can't go to dad's work. It's inappropriate. And, you know, it's like, it's definitely like, that's the weird thing to navigate, is like your kid understanding this grown up stuff that you're doing and not necessarily. Do you think you're kind of like rolling the dice with that? I think having a kid in general, you're kind of rolling the dice, because you're sort of like intentionally creating this thing that, you know, at some point you're going to be totally incapable of controlling in any way, right? And so, yeah, I mean, I guess it's a little bit more of a rolling of the dice, but like, what's the worst scenario that she like suffers some amount of like bullying or has to deal with it to some extent? I mean, I'm not that worried about that.
Would you be okay if she did porn?
As an adult, I don't think it would really be my business, but I definitely wouldn't like encourage her to. I'd want to see her pursue anything else possible before she made that decision. And sometimes I feel like that's kind of the sad thing, is that I will be interviewing a girl and I'll realize that she started OnlyFans when she was 18. I even had one girl tell me that she was promoting her OnlyFans on social media when she was 17 in the lead up to like, oh, I'm turning 18. That's when I'm dropping on OnlyFans. And I was just like, what the fuck? That sounds like it should be illegal. I'm assuming it's not, but like an underage person promoting their future porn release, I don't know. It just sounded really creepy to me, but I mean, you know, every girl that I know for the most part who does OnlyFans or whatever, I don't see it as like a negative thing in their life for the most part. Everybody I know seems pretty happy.
Even when they get like older, you think?
Yeah. I mean, I do know some porn star chicks who end up resentful about what they went through, but I feel like in large part they're the chicks who didn't really like have control of their career. The Mia Khalifas and Alana Rhodes, who felt like they had to do all this crazy ass sex shit. Because I know so many girls now who make shitloads of money on OnlyFans or whatever, and they're just posting like boob photos.
Oh wow.
And
yeah, I mean, it's like not my problem. You know, if they're happy doing it, that's fine. it's not my favorite thing, you know? It's just not.
Aesthetically. You don't watch porn?
No, I've never seen it. Well, okay. I was scarred once on Twitter, so I don't want to say I've never seen porn. I was scrolling. I was like, what is this? But outside of that, I've never seen porn.
I see porn probably like 50 times during my early morning Twitter scroll.
Yeah. Well, I haven't been that like active on Twitter till the last like month or two.
But it's interesting to me that there are probably a lot of people out there. Like I see Twitch streamers looking at Twitter on stream.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. They're so confident that they're not going to see porn, that they feel comfortable doing this. I could never.
I'm on conservative Twitter, so I feel like my Twitter's like more right. But that day I was scarred. I was scarred for life.
What'd you see? What was going on? Were they sweating? Was there oil?
No, it was just like they were like screwing. I don't know.
They were screwing.
I don't know. I was like, No, actually, I'm sorry. I lied. I saw porn one other time because when I was in college, I was in the dorm lobby. I forgot about this, and I said this again. I was like, I've never seen porn, and this is what guys do. They'll be like, oh, I need to show you now. Why would I want to see that? Why would I want to? So then
because they think if they show you that might get you in the mood to do what you're seeing on camera.
Okay, I was not in the mood. I've
tried that before. Back when I was young.
My eyes.
But as a grown up, sometimes you do like we do that. We'll like watch some porn, and then inevitably we end up fucking. It's like almost impossible to watch people fuck and not end up fucking, from my perspective.
Well, I don't know.
Do you feel like okay? How many people have you slept with? Do you air this out?
No.
You ask everybody that. And you don't say your own number?
What? No, I don't ask everyone. I don't think I've ever asked. No, I don't even ask body count.
It's a single digit?
No, I say it is a single digit.
Okay.
But no, I don't even ask. I'll always say how many bodies is too many bodies, or how many bodies till you become a hoe. The only time a girl has said her body count on live, I swear to God, I was like, okay, guys, what's your body count? And I was like, haha, kidding. You don't have to say that. This girl was like, oh, I'll tell you. Like, I'm on the sexual positivity, da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, are you sure? And then she's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, go ahead. It was a lot. It was like 30 something or 40. I don't remember.
How old is she? That's nothing.
20. Okay. For you, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
But she was like 27, 28, I think.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Okay. But I was like, then she got mad and wanted me to take the stream down. But I'm like, yeah, but I was like, I didn't make you say anything.
Yeah.
I didn't make you like, and then she was like threatening to sue me and all this stuff. And I was just like, ma'am, I said, are you sure?
Right.
So that was the only time.
See, that's interesting because I feel like I would encourage most people to not put a hard number out there into the world. It's probably better. I think for most people, it's advantageous to be sort of vague about it.
Yeah, well, I feel like God, they never believe me they wouldn't believe me anyway. So it's like,
you see dudes say that all the time on your shit or wherever, where they'll be like, this is the number that I think that I would be comfortable with, but also I know that they're gonna lie. So it's like I know that if it's 10, then it's really 30. Or whatever.
Yeah. Well, actually, I know what men think about body count. Okay, I've actually interviewed how many bodies is too many bodies, or would you rather have a girl that's taken 50, or has $50,000 in credit card debt? Most guys say the debt, but I do think if they
debt is such a turnoff.
but so when it comes to body count, guys say 10, right? That's always the number. Like if I say how many bodies is too many bodies, the most common answer I get is 10. However, they mean 20, and this is what I mean. I'll push it because this is what I do. I do this to guys and girls, like girls about income or whatever, and I'll be like, okay, but this girl, she's great. She's got this. But she's got 15. They're like, well, and I keep pushing it, and it seems like 20 is like the real number guys say. But if they say 20 on the podcast, it's like embarrassing to them, like they would wife a girl with 20. This is just, and I'll see who they date because like a lot of the guests become regulars. Like I see who they date outside the show. I'm like, I know that girl. I know what she was doing before she met you. That's not the number you said.
All right, this is my thing. Is that I obviously am like more open-minded about this kind of stuff, especially in the porn world. It's like there's infinite like super hot girls I know who are like the most high-valued chicks in the industry, and they've got like hundreds of bodies, like different dudes that they fucked on camera, off camera, whatever, and it's like totally nobody cares about it in the same way. But then at the same time, I will say that most of the time when I see a porn relationship not work out, it's due to some element of jealousy from even if the guy does porn. like he will inevitably get jealous of his girl working with other guys, and it will become a fucking thing, and they'll become exclusive, and then at some point she wants to work with other guys and it doesn't work out like that. I've seen that play out so many times.
Yeah.
So even the most open-minded sexually people, their relationships usually end up ending over the guy being territorial about her vagina.
I can't imagine letting other guys rail your chick is a great way to go about. I mean, this is just,
I think that's playing the game on hard for sure. If you can go through that as a dude and not care, because my girl isn't fucking anybody besides me, and so it's like I don't have to live the life of sitting here interviewing you while knowing that my girl is taking a 10-inch schlong to the face, which might be hard for me. I don't know. I'm not fucking Superman. I don't know if I could actually like be cool with that. I do know some guys who are, and I am kind of in awe of them.
Yeah, that's a different world. I don't know. That's a different.
To what extent does your Christianity or your religious faith play into your views on relationships and everything?
Oh, I don't think I'm that religious.
You don't?
No, I mean, I had periods. I go in and out. I grew up Catholic, so I did 12 years at Catholic school, and then I joined a Christian church right after college. Right after college, and I like did Bible study a lot for like 2 years, but I got a lot of things about the church that just like bothers me. I feel like feminism has infiltrated the church, so I have like my thoughts on church. I wouldn't say religion.
I haven't been to church in like 20 years, but is that real? Like the average church like has like way more progressive stuff going on?
I would say that they don't. Like you're seeing gay flags in church,
right?
Like what?
But if I mean, let's be real, like religion is kind of on the way out. Churches, like religion's becoming less and less popular. I feel like they probably have to like lean into that if they want to continue to exist.
Well, that's the thing. Like they have to cater to women because women are the primary market for church. I think the church leaves women single because when I was in the church, like when I was super into it right after college, they were like, you can only date in your church. And I was just like looking around. I'm like, what on earth?
What the fuck? That's not like an average rule that you have to date within the church, right?
Typically, like you have to be. That's why they have the term equally yoked.
Equally yoked?
Yeah. So I mean, or they'll say you can date other Christian churches, but the other problem is they all are like 70% women, roughly.
Right.
If you look at like the younger people that are in the church, they're mostly women, and the guys are like kind of simpy, like a bit. So. Like, yeah. I've heard guys say, like, the girls in church are worse than the girls outside of church.
Like, I would like to think that I'm respectful of everybody's religious beliefs and shit, but if you're a young dude and you're spending a lot of time in church, I mean...
Well, it's just...
What, you really need this much fucking help to get through the day? Like, I just don't understand.
I mean, I just think they don't... Like, I respect people that are religious and that are really religious, and I feel like I could be really religious. I just haven't really found, like, the right... place maybe. Like I just feel like feminism has infiltrated the church, and like they encourage men to take unfair deals because it's like okay, when I was in Catholic school, I've always been me, right? Just opinionated, just like, and they would always have these chastity speakers, which are basically like people that come to the church or the school and they'll say like, don't have sex until you're married. And it's always like a ran through girl with the guy that like waited. And that's kind of an unfair deal because the guy has to wait to give his commitment to a girl that's already had sex. So it's like, it's like, what does he get out of the deal?
Do you actually think that a guy or a girl waiting till they're married to have sex is a good idea?
I think if they're both virgins, yeah. I mean, that's what, I can't name like the study off the top of my head, but if you look at body count when it comes to girls, like the fewer partners they have, the more likely they are to be happy after a certain amount of time. It's like after 10 years. Right. But the best outcomes are when both of them are virgins.
I feel like you need to have sex to understand if you have good sexual chemistry.
How would you know?
By having sex.
No, but I'm saying if you're both virgins, how would you know?
I know, but then like you're just sort of... I mean, I think a woman getting into a relationship, a serious relationship, as serious as marriage, without having a wide variety of experiences, you're just kind of you're creating a ticking time bomb where she's going to, at some point, want to know what the fuck else is going on in life. And I've seen this over and over with people that I knew who got married when they were young, when they were virgins. And it's just inevitably like one or both people ends up wilding out or wanting to have some more experiences. For me, the reason why I'm able to be so comfortable and secure in my relationship is the fact that I've fucked hundreds of people and I know exactly what's out there and I don't feel tempted by any of it.
Yeah, that is a dynamic. Rolo has talked about that, where basically, like, if the girl gets too young, like, it's basically like the virgins of today aren't the virgins of yesterday, because the virgins of today still have social media and can, like, hear things and see things and feel like they're missing out. So yeah, I would say that happens.
Like, I can't think of a more foolproof plan for me being miserable than me, like, valuing, like, you know, innocence so much that I end up wifing up some, like 19, 20-year-old virgin who doesn't know anything about life, who's gonna fucking be looking at everything else out there as, like, so tantalizing and interesting. It's like, I feel way more comfortable with somebody who's been around the block that actually, like, knows what's out there. I've done meth. I need a girl who's put some drugs up her nose, man.
You know, I do think like attracts like, so, you know, yeah, that's fine.
But okay, here's the thing. My level of jealousy with my girl is almost like non-existent. Like, there's almost nothing that she could do that would, like, trigger my brain to be, like, pissed off, because we just have that kind of connection. And I know that she's been around rappers and she's been to the clubs and she's, like, done all this, like, shit that I've also done. And I know that she doesn't feel tempted by that. But I've been in relationships with girls who, like, are in the club with you, and then they're looking at the section with the rich dudes who got hella bottles and everything, and, like, yeah, they're with you, but you could kind of tell that they're looking at those dudes. Like, if it was easy, they would probably just go and be with those dudes. Like, if they could sort of, like, bow out without you knowing and go do that, they would be happy to do that. With my girl, I don't have that feeling. I actually, like, don't think that she's tantalized by the bottles in the club. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of girls, like, that would be my main concern if I was dating somebody very young or very, like, inexperienced.
Well, I don't think there's one way to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I think whatever works for someone works for them. But I mean, I think by and large, men prefer girls that are more pure in general. Usually guys want a girl that's slept with less like partners than they have typically. Right.
No, I can understand why. But
like my brother's kind of a whore.
A whore.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, probably not compared to you. He's probably an angel compared to you. No offense. Like,
no, I get it, yeah.
But he's dating a girl that's a virgin. Like, yeah. So it's
really?
Like, well, I don't think she's anymore.
How do you even meet? I feel like if you're that slutty, how do you even meet a virgin?
I don't know. It's weird. My brother's fine. Like, all the girls that guys in the red pill, like, kind of say that they want. My brothers, they're not red pill at all. They've never really had trouble with girls. They just, like, find them. Like, my other brother is dating a girl that went to culinary school for fun, just to, like, cook for him. He didn't even ask. He didn't even care.
Right.
He was like, oh, that's nice, sweetie. And these guys can barely get their girls to cook for them at all.
Right.
She went to culinary school. My other brother is dating a virgin. He wasn't even really looking for one. He just, like, found her.
But how important do you think that is? How's your cooking?
How's my cook? I'm a good cook.
Okay.
I will say, I've been learning. So recently, I've been learning to make a cake from scratch. I just learned jollof rice the other day. So I would say 1 to 10, I'm like a 6. I'll give myself a 6.
Because me and my group chat with like 20 dudes, we're all having this conversation this morning because there's this porn star girl I know, and she posted on her story like cooking like tons of shit. She cooked this whole big fucking feast, and the caption was like, you know, this is my love language or whatever for her boyfriend or whatever. And I sent it to the group chat, and I was like, be honest, like, how attractive do you find this girl being able to cook? Because for me, in my head, and now this is all like hypothetical because obviously I'm not going to go fucking holler at this chick, but the cooking thing actually like really kind of in my brain soothes some of my concern that she might be a psychopath. Like the cooking thing, just knowing that she could like be focused on her domestic duties in the crib for like 6 hours to cook this. I mean, I know a lot of chicks who don't have that in them, that realistically they're so out of control that they're going to go find cocaine instead of within that 6 hour period.
Cocaine?
You live in fucking London. You're acting like you're like totally naive to coke. Everyone in England is doing ketamine and cocaine right now. 99% of the population. The Queen even.
My experience with coke in life. One time on New Year's when I was 21.
Let's go. Here we go.
Someone offered me coke at a bar. And I was like, what? I also had friends in Chicago that worked in finance that I know did coke a lot. That's all I know about coke.
So you're like, one time someone offered it to me. Like, didn't even do it. I just got offered it.
No. Well, this was shocking to me. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I didn't even know people did coke.
I don't like, but you live in England. Everybody does coke in England. Like, it's bad.
Okay. Now, maybe your friends do coke. I'm not.
Everybody I ever met out there.
Okay.
I don't know.
But I play with, like, I know athletes mostly. So
I think a drug tester. You get drug tested?
no.
You should definitely do coke then.
No, like
You
they're
gotta pass.
no, we did in college, but they're like drugs just I don't know. I've never asked. There might be people that do it. I just don't think like they would offer it to me anyway because I don't even really drink. So it's like
Right.
you're gonna offer me like you can't get me to take a shot, but you're gonna give me Coke.
What's your observation? Oh, you don't even drink. Yeah, that's probably a good sign.
No,
You're not
no,
gonna
no,
do
no. Well, I've decided I'm gonna do it once a year.
drink.
Yeah, once a year.
What? Just enough to remind yourself how much you hate it?
Yeah.
Because I hate it. Like, if I did it once a year, it would be a great reminder of like, oh, that's why you don't like that. Yeah.
No, I used to drink, but I stopped a couple years ago.
Right.
But then I was like, maybe I'll do it once a year.
Right.
We'll see. I haven't decided. I've been going back and forth on this.
My thing is like I stopped like getting drunk maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, but I'll still have like a drink
Yeah.
or a glass of wine. That's fine.
Yeah. Maybe that can be like my once a year. I can do it on No Jumper.
I love that idea. What's your observation about the women that you grew up around on average versus the women in England? Like, what's your impression of the main difference?
Oh, the women. I would say the women in England are a bit more like they're better dressed and they're more proper. When it comes to relationships, I think England is so similar to the U.S. Like it's honestly the same. The average age of first marriage, like they get married a little later up there. It's like 31, where it's like 27, 28 here.
Interesting.
But it's the same.
From
The
my
West is the
perspective, the
West.
women are way less promiscuous in England and Australia. And I know that's a massive generalization, but girls in America are hoes on average. There's like a lot of sluttery going on.
Yeah.
And I remember one time me and my girl went to Australia for like 2 weeks, and we had it in our head the whole time because we were like doing these music festival appearances or whatever. We had it in our head the whole time that we were going to meet this hot Australian chick and hook up with her. And literally every hot Australian chick we met had a boyfriend by her side, which shout out to them because they all seemed very happy and secure. But it just seemed like in Australia, it was like so much more normal to just be in relationships.
You had that same experience in England?
Yeah, I would say on average.
Oh, really? I've had a lot of single people on my show. So.
Really, that's what you're drawing them in.
That's true. Like that's what I'd say. Most people I've met are through my
I
show.
feel like there's less of a stigma in America about having a high body count than there is in England. Whereas in England, I would say it's probably a bigger deal.
The girls are quieter about it, I think, than in America.
Right.
So I would agree with you. Like because there'll be girls again. Like I meet people through the show. Like they'll come on the show and they'll talk and like say one thing, but then oh my god, this one girl. I'm thinking of a story off the top of my head. This girl comes on the show, and she was beautiful. This is like probably one of the prettiest girls that have been on my show. The whole show. I'm done with the bad guys. Like I'm healing, whatever. And and she was just talking all this talk, how she doesn't like do any like blah blah blah. After the show, my recruiter brought one of his friends to like watch, and he literally took her home after the show. And I'm just like, huh. So I feel like girls in England like kind of like taught like where like the girls in America are a little more open.
But let's be real, it's very easy for a person to be promiscuous without informing the world about it. Like you could very easily have had sex with 60 people and just not tell me and not really let on. Like it would be the easiest fucking thing in the world for you to let on, for you to like keep that ruse going, wouldn't it? Me too. Like if I told you I had sex with 5 girls, I mean, I don't know. I feel like maybe the tattoos kind of like give it away that it just looks like I have more life experience. Also, why are you 39? Also, why are you a porn star? But I mean, it's just like a very easy thing to lie about. I feel like you could do your sneaky shit, and everyone knows that. And it's why we don't like really believe girls' numbers.
I just feel like the truth comes. I'm just a big believer in the truth comes out eventually. If you had sex with 60 people. Like that's so many people. Someone's gonna know someone.
But the world is huge.
No,
I'm a big believer in being a good liar. Like just keeping your shit close to your chest. And like some of the dudes that I've had so much respect for in my life were dudes who everyone thought that they were like not a slut. And then once I really got to know them, I started to realize that they were fucking all the time. And they just actually did an immaculate job of not letting their friends know. They weren't bringing girls to the bar to meet their homies or whatever. Because I was the total opposite. I was like literally going to the bar with a different chick every night of the week. I didn't give a fuck. All my friends can meet her. I'm never going to see her again. It is what it is. You know, like it was just, I was terrible at keeping my shit on the DL.
Yeah, but again, then you got to know him and you find out. Like, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Eventually, like, someone's going to talk. Like, I'm not saying, like, sure, you can do it where, like, people that are 2 or 3, like, that don't know you that well, like, will never know. But I just think eventually something's going to come up. Like,
Unless you're a
something.
real smooth criminal.
Maybe, but I'm just a big believer in the truth comes out eventually. You'll even see celebrities, like, it'll be like 20 years later and someone will say something like, oh, I hooked up with her when she was younger.
Right.
So I feel like the truth comes out eventually.
It can. But if you're really with your shit.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why you get prostitutes, because then they're not going to tell nobody, right?
Yeah, I would.
In theory.
Yeah, and then if you actually tell nobody, but I feel like you always tell someone. Like, people usually tell someone.
What would you say to, like, do you think that young men should go to prostitutes? If they just want to get it out of their system?
Oh gosh, this is a good question. I have mixed feelings because I don't really like the idea of that, but I also feel like it's kind of the way the world's always been. So it's like, that's the world's oldest profession. Like, someone's kind of got to do it.
Right.
You know, couldn't be me, but I wouldn't want someone I love to do it. But and it's like, what other solution do you have for the 1 out of 3 men under 30 that are virgins or haven't had sex in the past year?
I just sometimes feel like if you're a young dude and you had the opportunity to do it, which I don't think I did when I was a kid, I would have had no idea where the fuck to find a prostitute in New Hampshire when I was growing up. But I'm just saying, like, if the idea of sex is so nerve-wracking and oppressive to you in your head, you could just, pay somebody for their time. And actually, this is what, like, the sex worker community would tell you is, like,
Yeah.
You should, like, that's what they're kind of there for, is, like, for you to be able to pay somebody for their time to have this experience so that you can kind of demystify it. I don't think it's the worst idea, but I also feel like a guy making that a part of their life on any sort of regular basis is basically like suicide for your chance of being successful at any point in your life.
Yeah, I agree with what you just said. I agree.
It's just like humiliating. It's like, it might be cool for like a one-off, but you definitely shouldn't make this part of your life.
Yeah. I mean, I would always say maybe go the other routes first, but I just have a hard time. I just have a hard time encouraging prostitution. I don't know.
I have a friend who's like 21 and he just lost his virginity. So it's like a little late, but he's like a mega nerd. And he's like, he makes good money and he's like doing really well for himself, but he's a fucking nerd. So it like took him a little later into life or whatever. And we had that conversation where I was like, like before he lost his virginity, where I was like, maybe you should just get a hooker. Like, maybe that would be good for you to just like kind of get it over with like that. And then he told me the story that I thought was really fascinating, right? So he's hanging out with this girl and they blatantly kind of have a vibe where she likes him, he likes her, whatever. And they're sleeping in like a hotel room together, right? But like, it's because they're both at this event. And it's not like, oh, we're going to sleep in the same bed. And before they went to bed, she said to him, she goes, hey, I just want to let you know that, we can sleep in the bed and stuff, but I don't want to have sex. And he's just like, oh, that's cool. Like, that's totally cool. And so he just goes to bed in the bed, like facing away from her, pulls the covers up and just goes to sleep. And then she wakes up in the next morning and she's acting kind of weird. And eventually he says like, hey, like, did I do something? Like, what's wrong? And she was like, well, I didn't want you to like not do anything to me. And I told him, I'm like, yeah, bro. I'm like, she wanted you to try to fuck her. She just wanted to like be able to call her own shots there. And if she didn't want to fuck, she wanted to be able to say, okay, like, I don't want to do this. I was like, she definitely wanted you to like kiss her or like try something for sure. And then he ended up losing virginity to her. So, I guess.
Did they date or anything?
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. And I told him, I'm like, don't get hung up on her. Like if she's dope for sure. But I was like, you'd probably be so much better off like just meeting more girls rather than like focusing in on this first experience you've had. I don't know. Would you agree with that? Or do you think you should really chase this one?
No, I mean, girls are usually repulsed by guys that chase them. I think we prefer to chase.
Yeah, that's true. But it must be weird. It's weird for him though, because the girl almost certainly like knows that he's not exactly drowning in pussy.
Does she?
I would assume.
Oh, I don't know your friend. I don't know what he comes off as.
He's not coming off as like Mr. Big dick swanging guy. Would you go on a date with Nick Fuentes?
Nick, is that the? That's the guy that was with Kanye, right? Yeah.
You don't know much about him?
I don't know a ton about him.
Okay.
Yeah, he's cute.
I feel like you guys would get along.
Maybe.
Similar ideas. Nah, but somebody wanted me to ask that. 'Cause we're trying to find like the right woman for him. But he needs like a white Christian woman. He's made that clear.
Oh, yeah, I'm probably not Christian enough.
No?
No, I'm like,
What about for like the right guy?
I'll be back in church.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, I don't know how much Nick is in church at this time.
I'll be like, I didn't even know feminism infiltrated the church. That's crazy. I was just talking nonsense back then.
Yeah, definitely. So have you seen this girl Karmen Karma that's been making the podcast rounds? She's the one who went viral because she said that she like let some dudes nut in her and then she had her husband like eat her out and she didn't tell him, I think. Oh my gosh,
that was so gross.
Yeah.
That was so gross.
I've fucked her a bunch of times.
Oh.
On camera with my girl.
Okay.
They're like really good friends.
Okay. Okay.
Multiple layers of reaction there.
Was it good?
Yeah, she's dope, yeah.
Was she
She got a mean throat game, actually. And I don't say that lightly, but she has a stupid neck, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, the boyfriend thing, I feel like that scared a lot of guys.
Of her? Yeah. No, but she's like married. She's like in a committed relationship with this dude.
Oh, yeah?
And he's down. He don't mind that she's like off banging dudes on camera or anything. He's on board for it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I hope that goes well.
I mean, honestly, yeah, they've been together for a long time. But so you don't approve of that dynamic, though? To me, like smuggling someone else's ejaculate into your husband's mouth, that does seem like a line really is crossed there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like at the end of the day, I just don't really care what other people do. Like it's at the end of the day, it's not really my problem. But yeah, I think if you got she like went back to her ex, right? And he like nutted in her and then she got ate out by
Actually I don't know, yeah, if it was her ex or if it was her current dude.
Oh, okay, whoever, and then she got ate out by another guy?
No, I think the one that she was dating was the one who ate out
who ate her out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a violation. That's a violation.
In every walk of life, that would be considered wildly inappropriate, except maybe in the porn world.
Even like, oh my God, I'm thinking like, if a dude like screwed another girl before, like it's like he didn't even shower, ew.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because in retrospect, that disgusts me about myself. Is that I had many nights where I would like leave the club with one girl and then she would leave and then I would have another girl come over and there was no sort of sanitation or anything going on in between.
Like condoms at least?
No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was living reckless, you know?
Sorry, this is like...
It's this thing that they call the 22 mentality.
What is that?
Just being a real sloth-like psychopath.
Did you catch anything?
No. Well,
Never?
No.
Never?
No.
600?
No, but I've only caught stuff since I've been in a relationship in porn.
Oh.
Pretty much.
Oh, wow.
Where you get tested like all the fucking time. I had never been tested before this, but I only got burnt one time by like a famous porn star, and then I got burnt one other time by like a random prostitute that I was like on hella coke, and I basically like just ended up hooking up with her at a party with my girl, and I would never do that now because she wasn't tested or anything.
Oh, wow. Was it anything like bad?
No, just like chlamydia. You just get a shot in the ass. It's fine.
You just get a shot in the ass?
Yeah, just give you a shot. You're done. Because people laugh when I'm like, oh, I would way rather get an STD than get like a cold. But it's nothing. It's like, you know, I mean, it does suck. You can't really have sex for like a week.
I have a cold right now.
You should get an STD. You'd love it. You know what? So you're heavy on the pay gap.
Yeah.
And not fucking with it. I'm on board.
I just think I'm just so tired. I grew up in a family. You just don't have excuses. Like in the Davis family, you work hard. Okay, man or woman. My dad just always preached, you work hard, you do something you're passionate about. My dad would tell me, I don't care if you're selling toothpicks from the side of the road, you can do something you're passionate about and work hard at it. Mm-hmm. You want to start a family, whatever it is, right? And I'm just so tired of these girls blaming their gender on why you didn't succeed. You're probably lazy, Rebecca. You're probably just lazy.
But I feel like, yeah, because I mean, the reality is that like I've had people work for me who just like ask for raises all the fucking time, you know, like every 6 months, every year, whenever there's like some significant thing added to the list of work that they're doing, they're asking for raises. And really, from my experience, a lot of times it's the women who are more diligent about that, and whereas the dudes are more likely to just sort of not bring it up as much, which is kind of weird. But I mean, in general, it's like you get paid what you fucking fight to get paid. And if they're trying to like not pay you, and you like, you have to fight for it the same way the dudes have to fight for it. And I just like the idea that we should feel bad for women getting paid less. Like if it's on some kind of systematic level, then sure, fine. But it just clearly doesn't seem to be that.
Do you care if your producer is a man or a woman?
No.
And that's the point. Nobody cares.
Why would anyone care? It's about how you do the job.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm like, why do you guys think you're so special that people care about your gender? Like, if anything, I think the world is nicer to you when you're a young, attractive female.
Massively.
And I'm like, you're going to be 50 one day, and you're going to wish people treated you the way they did when they were 22. I've heard, like, older women talk about this.
Right.
Like, one day you just become invisible.
Many times in my life, I've, like, been around a woman who... whatever, I'd seen her on Instagram, or I had like, you know, been watching her online in some capacity, whatever, famous, super hot, like out of this world hot, like a 10 or a 9 or whatever. And then I really like am around them, and I have a little bit of a conversation with them, and I realize you are one of the dumbest people I've ever met, and you've been allowed to wallow in this muck of ignorance because nobody gives a fuck enough to like really question you or challenge you, because you're so beautiful that nobody really wants to rock the boat. Nobody wants to like, you know, tell you that your ideas don't make any fucking sense. And even myself, I also felt that way, where it's like, well, if I don't correct her on this obviously stupid thing that she said, maybe it'll be a little bit more likely that she'll have sex with me in the future. And a lot of like, that's how every dude's brain fucking works.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes you see the same thing when I don't watch sports, but randomly I'll just like catch like a fucking basketball post game thing. And I'll just be listening to some of these dudes, and I'll be like, oh, okay, you're a fucking retard. Like, you're just like, you're just hella good at basketball. So they like put you out there, and you're famous as fuck. But like, you have like the brain of a child, because you never had like any kind of reason to go past that. Like, it wouldn't really have benefited you that much. You're good at one thing and you're bad at everything else, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that why a bunch of them go broke after they get out of the NBA?
Right, yeah, because the financial literacy isn't part of the fucking program, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't like lazy. I don't like lazy people, and I don't like stupid people. People be like, "Oh, you hate women." Da 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 da. I'm like, I hate stupid people, man or women. Yeah.
Do you ever get bored with the content though? Like, how do you keep it spicy? How do you keep it interesting?
Recently I've been so bored. I was so excited after. Yeah, I've been so bored recently. I mean, again, I've only been doing the show for a year,
right.
So I feel like the audience might think I'm soft, but I've been doing it 4 days a week for a year, basically. And so my next thing that I want to do is I want to progress the conversation to the streets. So I was thinking about going down in the number of shows I do per week, and kind of having the same conversations we have in the studio, but like going outside and having them. Like, for example, I want to interview single childless women over the age of 50 and ask them if they regretted it or if they're happy with their decision. Because we always talk about how like women in general aren't happy with families. And I think like a lot of times, this is just my guess of what I'm going to find, is that like girls in their 30s and 40s will be like, oh, it's okay. Like, because they still kind of have their looks a bit. But the girls where their looks have gone, which is like 50s and 60s, I think those women will actually be genuinely sad that they didn't have a family and kids. Because I think that the second half of your life is like pretty lonely, like, you know, from 40 to 80 if you don't have a family. And, you know, it's interesting. My grandma, she's probably going to like pass away in the next 6 months because she's just pretty sick. I asked her, I was like, do you have any regrets in life? You know, because like, I don't know if I'm going to see her again, like next time I come back to the U.S. Like, I don't know how much longer she has. And she told me that her only regret is she wished she had more kids, and she had 9. She said she wished she had 12.
Wow. No, yeah, for sure. Like when I was 37 or 36, I just started to like realize that, like, you know, I stopped partying, stopped drinking, stopped going out, stopped like screwing around with my girl or whatever. And at a certain point, I just kind of started to realize like me and you are just watching too much Netflix. And like, this is going to be the rest of our life if we don't start a family. Like, this is just like, look how stupid and meaningless our existence is. And now a lot of times I'll look through Netflix and I'll think, we would have watched every single season of this particular reality show right here if we didn't have a kid. And instead we had a kid, and it's just like so much more meaning, you know? But like I know infinite fucking people who basically like have taken the having children thing and replaced it with basically just being pop culture fanatics, or like I don't know, like in some cases like partying and like drinking and going out or whatever, but in many more cases just sort of being this like content consumer who just sits in front of the fucking TV every night.
Yeah, and I think if someone wants to do that, it's fine. I just think we should be honest about the results. And that's what I'd really like to do in the next phase of content is go to like nursing homes, old people's homes, or even interview like heavier people and like, why has your weight gotten out of control? Do you ever think about changing that? And like that. So like the conversations we have about like the stuff in the studio onto the streets.
Yeah. You're anti the fat phobic movement.
Well, are we? Is there short man phobic? I'm just tired. Like, some of y'all weren't bullied as children, and it shows. Like, my brothers would never get away with me thinking I was a 10. Oh my God, Austin, Adam, they would tell me so quick.
Right.
They would tell me so quick.
What's holding you back from being a 10? You think? What do you need
to be a 10?
You got a BBL coming?
No.
That'd be a good arc. It'd be good for the content.
No, I mean, what's holding me back from being a 10? I just feel like I don't have like a symmetrical enough face to be a 10.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, if I did, I'd have a modeling contract. That's okay.
I guess I would say that about myself. Yeah, definitely. I've never felt like there was any number of people who were like into me for my looks so much. Maybe as I get older, that's the weird thing is as you start to become like rich and well known, people start acting like you're attractive. And I'm like, there's no way that you're going to just pull the fucking wool over my eyes and convince me that I was good looking all these years. Nobody ever treated me that way.
Really? You're 6'4"?
Yeah, but
you have like nice eyes. I don't know.
Yeah, nice eyes. I got a lot of that. A lot of fat chicks telling me I had nice eyes my whole life. I don't know. I don't know if I trusted them. But those were actually the chicks who were into me, so I could see it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think if I was a 10, I would have modeling contracts. I have never been offered a modeling contract. So I don't think I'm ugly by any means. I just don't think I'm a 10.
When I was young in New York City, I had like a friend, tall, light-skinned black dude. He was like 6'6" or some shit. And he would stay getting offered modeling contracts around me like all the time. And nobody ever offered it to me. So
you're like, what about me?
Yeah,
I can do it.
because I had never thought about being a model my whole life, and then all of a sudden he's getting offered this multiple times in front of me, and I did start to kind of feel like shit. Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I have one friend who I think she used to model, but then she got too fat. So
you want to know this puts it all into perspective. One time there was these two girls I met when I was living in New York, early 20s, and one of them super pretty and one of them super ugly. Like no question about it. Like the ugly one had like the biggest fucking nose you've ever seen, like this massive hanger. She was just I used to look at her and just think like, how have you not got a nose job? Like it's so clearly the thing that would improve your life the most, whatever. But one time I'm on the train with both of them and I had met them because of the ugly one, right? The ugly one hit me up on MySpace and then somehow I end up meeting her and her friend's super fucking hot. And I just blatantly end up hitting on the hot one in front of her and whatever. And then we're all on the train together. And this like 60-year-old lady just goes to the ugly one. She just goes, "Your friend is so beautiful." And the fucking girl just bursts into tears and just starts sobbing her fucking eyes out on the train right in front of me. And in that moment, it has never been more clear to me, like just how much privilege a hot chick has and like just how charmed your life is going to be as a result of having been born with like a symmetrical face and a nice sized nose or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, I have a friend like that. Like she's just like and I'm like, when she walks out, I'm like, I have never seen someone get this much male attention in my life. Oh my God. I didn't realize, because she has really big boobs too. I'm like, wow.
That goes a long way.
Yeah. Because most of my friends like have like a volleyball body. Like, so it's just like usually like kind of flat chested, big butt. Like that's just how we're built usually. But I don't know. When we go somewhere, she has guys go up to her like all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, I have never been around someone that gets this much attention.
But does that make you feel bad about yourself or you just sort of own it?
No, not really. I mean, I think when I was younger, it probably would have. But now it's like, You know what's funny? I saw 1950s dating advice, and it was like, stay around a hot friend because you could get their leftovers.
But that
So-
says a lot. Like at that
so-
time period, like women were expected to feel lucky to have one guy who wanted
Yeah.
to take care of them.
Yeah, so it's like if a hot guy goes up to her, like maybe he'll have a friend. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
So I don't really, yeah.
Yeah.
And most of the guys that like go up to her, I don't know, like, actually, never mind.
But when I was younger, I felt like I was way more down for like quantity than quality, which traditionally, quality over quantity, that's advice a lot of people would give you. And when I look back at my life, I'm like, why were you always so down to take the fat homegirl?
Yeah, because you're a guy. That's like your
Yeah.
biological predisposition is to have as many kids as possible. Where
Yeah.
like girls, it's quality over quantity.
And I figured like nobody's going to know. I'll be able to keep this low key. You know?
Did you
Um,
ever? Did you ever? So you must have like have literally not known the names of the girls you were like sleeping with.
I have a list up to like 300.
Oh wow, what a
Google-
gentleman.
A Google Doc, yes. A gentleman and a scholar. No, I kept a list my whole life, so I can go back to it. But yeah, for sure, there's going to be a ton of names on the list that I'm just like, and a lot of them too are like vague descriptions. It'll be like Boston, blonde girl in the woods,
Wow.
because it's just some chick I met at the bar and we went in the woods.
Yeah.
It's pretty gross, but there's a few on there like that would be really confusing. But then I stopped keeping track once we started doing it on camera, but I could theoretically go through the list and compile a full list.
Now?
I could like go through social media or whatever and like figure out all of them. But it would be
Good
a lot.
Good memory.
There's no memory. I would have to just go through social media and look through it.
Yeah, but you connected with all of them on social media?
No, but I like posted it probably at some point. Or if I look through my girls,
Oh,
my girl
okay.
could put the list together.
Oh, okay.
You know.
You
Okay.
can put it on Patreon.
Just the list.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see that. It would be so terrible. All right. So, what else do you have in the works, or what are you planning in terms of your content and everything? Oh, and before I ask that, I want to ask: are you just like totally fucked business wise? Because I saw you were like age restricted by the time the Andrew Tate episode already went live.
No, I think I broke even on that video.
Because you made some money before they did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think I broke even. Maybe I made a little bit, but it's basically because there is a sponsorship and there
Right.
was,
So yeah.
yeah. So
But did they get you a lot?
no,
Really?
that was like I mean, sometimes, but for the most part, no. They would get me more when I did rap reactions. Oh, that was hell. That was like every video demonetized.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because it was like violent shit or what?
It was like the music companies.
Oh well, that's like copyright. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got like 20,000 subscribers in a day or 10,000, and I just stopped doing it because I like would make no money on the videos.
Yeah, but that's a wild side of YouTube where if like reaction channels with millions of views of like people reacting to music and they're not making money on any of the videos, but then they find other ways to make money.
I never did. I just was like, yeah, F this. I'm gonna go a different route.
I feel you. But all right, so new ideas for the content, or where's it going from here?
I just started wife school, so it's like basically me learning things to like be more traditional, pretty much. So, the first episode was helping me pick out better clothes a little bit, and the second one is me learning how to make a cake from scratch, and what did I cook? It was like stir fry or something. So it's like the second episode is cooking. Next episode, what are we going to do for episode 3? I don't even remember. Oh, they wanted me to go on dates with guys, but get feedback from the guys. Like they're not even going to be on camera or like film the date or anything, but like just talk to the guys and be like, what did you think of Pearl? So I could know like if I'm being feminine, I guess, on dates.
If you went on dates with like 100 guys, do you feel like what percentage of them would you like be interested in a second date?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, what are the prerequisites for the date? Just like randomly, or are they like because she like
That's a good point.
because
Yeah,
she'll pick him out and be like, do you think like he's cute? or
yeah there's got to
something?
be some degree of selection.
what-
Because if you're bringing me some like 50-year-old lady, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna be like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm even gonna do that episode. We'll see. I don't know.
If
We'll
you
see.
find love on the internet, what could be better than that for the world to see?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
For sure.
But that was an idea we had. And then I'm gonna go to this girl in Florida where she lives like so. Oh my gosh, I couldn't live like that. Like she's crazy traditional. Like she like does her laundry by hand, but I'm gonna like live like her for a week and see how it goes.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Is that something you aspire to though? To be so traditional that you're doing laundry by hand? It seems like a massive waste of time.
nah, I won't be that true. No, I mean, it's more just about the whole point of the series is to listen to what men want and try to be more of what men want. So that's the whole point. Is it like to do laundry by hand? No, but like sometimes you learn like how to make something. Like, I don't know. I didn't realize like how much men value cooking. And even like I made my dad like a cake from scratch. He like thought it was the sweetest thing.
Throughout my life, very few girls ever cooked for me. And for sure, whenever they did, I felt like it was usually a pretty genuine sign of them like wanting to be with me. And that definitely, like with my girl, the first time she cooked for me was around the same time that I sort of started to like realize like, oh, she loves you. Like she really like wants the best for you and she'll do anything for you. And for sure, like, I mean, on the most basic biological level, I feel like cooking for somebody is just kind of like providing for them. Like, and especially if it's decent, you know?
Yeah.
For me, I can't cook. I'm ordering Postmates. I'll make you eggs in the morning if you want. That's about all I got going for me.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the whole point of wife school. And like, she's also going to talk about just like the mentality that you should have as a wife. So like, why are you guys looking for problems? Like he might be cheating, he might not, but like, why are you guys like literally looking for problems? And just like stuff like that where it talks more about, I'm like kind of butchering it, but she was just telling me about it. But she like literally trains like women to be wives and like managing, because a lot of times girls want a guy that makes a lot of money because they want a lifestyle, but they don't know how to be like frugal. And she was saying that she could raise kids on like $500 a month or less.
I heard Andrew Tate say that too, and I was like, hey, what?
Well, think about it. Like, what do you need? You need food,
Private
clothes.
school.
Well, okay, but that's a lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that like goes back to like.
But even just like basic shit, I feel like a kid is going to cost way more than that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want it to, but
if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But I don't want to give my kid a fucking Somalian upbringing here in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, I mean that's fine.
The cost to raise a kid out here, like average kid, like even if you're not like on some rich shit at all, like I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean I agree. Like with that, I mean, if you want your kid to live a certain type of lifestyle, you absolutely have to make a certain amount of money. But the truth is that every girl can't get a guy that's that rich, so you have to figure out a way to make it work.
You gotta get BBL.
What?
Not you, but like in general, that seems to be the plan for most of these girls. Like, when I go to the club in Miami, I'm like, these bitches just get BBLs and just stand around and just hope some dude's gonna be hyped on them. It's like the weirdest, most transparent fucking dynamic on earth.
Well, you know, it must work if they're doing it.
Yeah,
And like to some extent. I mean, maybe it's just attention and not like getting an actual ring, but
attention is step one.
Yeah.
You got to get some attention before there could be any chance of that, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I don't know.
I mean, like as much as women like make their faces look weird and like do all the whatever.
Oh, the world has changed.
Yeah, but like there's a part of me that always is thinking like, well, there's a reason they're doing it. Like I don't think girls would do it at all if like they weren't getting sexual attention from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, both sides lie about that shit. Like girls get lip fillers and then guys say, I don't care about lip fillers, but then every fucking girl knows that they get more attention with lip fillers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And guys say, we don't like makeup. And then every girl knows that they're going to basically be ignored by dudes if they don't wear makeup to the club.
Yeah.
Dudes just are in denial about what they're actually into. If a dude tells me I don't like makeup on the podcast, I just like laugh in their face because it's like, you're just lying to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do think like men in general prefer a more, maybe I'm biased, but I think they prefer a more natural look for like long term.
But see, this is the thing is that, all right, I had a friend who was a bartender at this bar, right? And I'm talking to him, and he was on steroids at one point and put on like 40 pounds of muscle or whatever. And I was under the impression, because I've been actually believing women my whole life, that women weren't into that kind of thing. And I'm like, so when you were super fucking gigantic, did you get like less attention from girls? He's like, what? He's like, bro, it's like I had a fucking sign on my forehead saying suck my dick, because every single girl that would look at me, you know, if it like, and I'm sure you probably are not super attracted to like a guy that's like massive steroid looking ass dude, right? I would assume you as an average woman, you're probably, but at the end of the day, those dudes are getting attention in a way where that even if a small percentage of those women convert into sex partners, those dudes are getting so much more sex as a result of looking like this total freak than a normal guy. Even though a normal woman would tell you that she wants a normal guy.
Well, girls, we also don't know what we want. They actually say that women prefer fat guys with muscles over skinny guys. Like, because I think it boils down to protection. If the dude's that big, like you think he can protect you. I know fighters will say it's not all about that. I mean, look, I'm just saying what it looks like as a girl.
I don't meet a lot of women who say like, I need a guy with really, really low body fat percentage. But at the same time, all the guys I know who have like chiseled fucking jawlines and ripped abs and stuff are drowning in pussy, because if they take their fucking shirt off and take a photo and put it on Instagram, their DMs are going to fill up with chicks because that just grabs attention, you know?
Well, I mean, I would argue that men have worse beauty standards than women. Like they always talk about like women have these high beauty standards, blah blah blah. It's like men actually have higher beauty standards. I mean, women swipe right on dating apps 5% of the time, and you could argue, that's superficial. Okay, let's quadruple it. Let's make it 20% of the time.
And you could even ask women. You could ask any women, because I've done this many times in my life. It'd be like, what percentage of guys do you think that you would want to sleep with or date or whatever? And they say low numbers. They'll say 10%. You know, like they're honest about that. That the vast majority of guys consider the vast majority of women acceptable sex partners, and the vast majority of women consider an incredibly small percentage of guys acceptable sex partners.
Yeah, and even if you make it like relationship partners, like women find 80% of men as unattractive, 80%. So it's like, are those 80% of men going to be that picky? Or you make 50% like that picky? Men swipe right 45, 50% of the time on dating apps. So it's like, who has the higher beauty standards, men or women? Men, easily.
And think about this. Like, think about how much a guy's body fat percentage really matters. Is that, picture two different scenarios. You're gonna put a fat guy on the cover of a magazine, or you're gonna put a guy with like a jacked guy with like fucking washboard 6-pack abs on the cover of the magazine. This is what they're gonna do for the guy who's fat if they put him on the cover of the magazine. Because I've been this guy before, not on the magazine cover, but like doing like a photo shoot. They put you in a bunch of designer clothes. They'll put designer on you. They'll put sunglasses on you. They'll fucking like put some alcohol in the shot or like some smoke or whatever. Basically like whatever they can do to distract the viewer from what you actually look like. But then if you're like in great shape, they're just going to have you stand there. And that's it. And they're not going to have any fucking props or whatever because you don't need it. And it's like, as a guy though, to register as physically attractive as a guy is incredibly rare and difficult. Like, it's just like, what percentage of guys are walking around in super sick shape? It's just like, I think 5-10%, maybe at most.
I think 80% of Americans are overweight. It's like 70, or I think it's like 80% of women, 70%.
So even right there, we're working with like 20% of the dudes might be in good shape.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like the reason we have like this group of men that like are not in good shape or like lazy, you know what I'm saying? Like they call them like the what did they say? Like the lack of masculinity in men today. Basically, I think it's like women's fault, to be honest, because it's like men are just like, the juice ain't worth the squeeze anymore. What am I doing all this for?
It's just not even worth it to try.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't get that idea into my head as a young guy. Like, the notion that like, well, getting pussy is really hard, so maybe you should just say fuck it and just give up.
Yeah.
I'm glad I never had that cross my mind.
I don't think you should, but again, it's just like, I mean, I think like women have changed more today than men.
But it says a lot about the lack of self-control of a young man, because when I think about it, I knew even as a young dude that being in really, really good shape was probably the best thing that I could do to improve my chances of getting girls that were like more attractive than me or more attractive than where I was at right then. And I still didn't do it. I still never got in like sick shape because I was just lazy and fucking self-absorbed and just like didn't have the discipline, I guess, you know? Yeah. And when I think about it now, when I'm like super hardcore on the like diet weight loss grind or whatever, I'm just like, this would have been so much more advantageous if you did this at like 21 instead of 39.
You wouldn't have had to screw so many fat chicks.
Yeah, but I'm kind of glad I took some of those lumps, you know. But like, I remember one time, like 2012, when like the iPhone camera first started to get good, that like I was drunk as fuck in the club and just made out with this fucking super fat Mexican girl, and then like I think like went back and got a blowjob from her or whatever. But one of my friends filmed me and sent it to the group chat, and that was the first time that I ever had like my drunken bar antics exposed to all my friends. And that's when I realized like you should probably You can't keep doing this.
That was your rock bottom.
Well, just the realization, because that was like social media step one. Because like if there's no video, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Nobody cares if somebody's like, "Oh, Adam made out with some ugly girl." It's like whatever.
Yeah.
But as soon as there's a video,
is it still out there?
I mean, nobody would even care. But
They could pay money. It could be on Patreon. Go on his Patreon.
you wouldn't even believe it was me. It was so pixelated in comparison to these days, probably. All right, I gotta pee. I appreciate you coming on the show for sure. And what's the channel? Pearly Things, if they want to tune in.
Just Pearly Things.
That way. Search it up. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. Check us out on YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, Instagram. Like, comment, and subscribe. NoJumper.com if you want to support. Appreciate you.